I will tell you what, we are meeting them where they are today. This is our topic. So excited to have a special guest with us today to meet them where they are. We're talking about our students, of course. So let's dive right in. We are GCU Canyon Professional Development. We are PD with purpose. We have our why statement. We're going to talk about that at the very end. Before we get into anything else, I want to show you all our fantastic team. We couldn't do it without everybody on our team, and here they are. And today we are so grateful to have Sheila Jones lead us in prayer today. So thanks for being with us, Sheila. We'll call you on a little bit later to lead us in prayer. Hopefully you'll stick around for that. I'm Corey Araza, the K-12 STEM Outreach Director. I've got 17 years plus teaching in the classroom in computer systems, ESL, and Spanish. Yep, a little strange, and STEM integration in Arizona, and have enjoyed every moment of my almost 3 years here with GCU. And I would like to introduce to you our very special guest today, Dr. Jen Santos. If you wouldn't mind, Dr. Santos, coming on and just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Corey. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is still Dr. Jen Santos. I have been teaching at college level 18 plus years now. So I think next year will be the start of year 19. And I teach English, all levels, so honors, traditional, developmental. And while I used to teach some literature, primarily now I teach first year composition, which I think is a lot of fun. When I'm not in the classroom, I tend to try to get back into the classroom somehow. So I also run a HESI prep session for our nursing majors so that they can do really well on the English portions of this test that they have to take to get into the nursing program. And I'm also piloting kind of a beta test of a peer mentor program where students who have completed English classes volunteer their time to come back and help incoming freshmen learn that they can succeed in English too.
That is fantastic. So I hear a lot of student-centered work, and you're so student-centered, but yet you're teaching composition. And I love, didn't you love it when she said, and I love teaching composition? I'm not sure everybody loves that, but I'll tell you what, I wish that you were hanging out with my son. So perhaps he'll move into GCU and get your class because he needs to love composition a little bit more than he does. So glad to have you with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. Marnie has introduced the toolbox. Marnie, would you mind telling us a little bit about what the Tool Master is going to be doing today?
Yes, so each week during our webinars, we like to introduce lots of tools, strategies, and actual like tech tools that you can use starting tomorrow in your class or this afternoon. But we introduce so many of them, we'd like to have a volunteer from our guests to actually keep track of those. So I'm going to ask somebody from our audience to step up and be our tool master. Tool master, your job will be every time we introduce a tool, just jot it down in a note. Near the end, you will see the toolbox again on a slide, and we'll give you a few moments to collect that list and pop it in the chat box. The benefit of being the tool master is you get to remember all the new tools and strategies that you learned. So we need someone to step up, be brave, and be the tool master. It's not hard, I promise.
And this is where we just say, it's no stress, okay? No stress. In fact, we'll help you, Tool Master, in case you're not sure of, wait a minute, I don't remember that. Even if it's just one tool you put in the chat, that's all good. So, but we're not moving on until we have a Tool Master.
That one tool could be the toolbox idea. It's a great way to ensure engagement. Yay, Manny, thank you. All right, we got our Tool Master.
Manny is the man of the hour. I love it. Thank you so much, Manny Leon. He is the director of MESA out there at the University of Arizona. We are co-partners. Manny Leon cannot wait until you tell us all of our tools at the end of our webinar today. Thank you so much for jumping in and taking a risk, maybe even being uncomfortable, right, Marnie? That's our statement today. So we have kind of a set the stage. I wonder if Dr. Santos, if you would be so kind as to set our stage of learning today and tell us about this quote and what it means to you.
I would be willing to do that. So this quote here by Ignacio Nacho Estrada simply says, if a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. And this one I think is just really meaningful to me because sometimes I know at one point in my life, after we teach for a while, sometimes we start to think of teaching as static. And I think that's where sometimes teaching needs to be reinvigorated. And so I think instead of looking at teaching as a static thing, really listening to our students, building relationships with them, and figuring out the ways they need to learn will help us be better educators and make it more fulfilling for us and for our students.
It's a great way to put it. And ultimately, it invigorates our own learning, right? Like if we want to learn, we're going to be better teachers, I believe. Thank you so much for setting that stage. Absolutely. We are going to understand today how utilizing a variety of instructional strategies can meet students where they are along their learning journey. And specifically, we will learn at least 2 strategies that focus on student-centered pedagogy, including using courageous teaching methods that make learning relevant for our students. Example is Discord. Just the word itself is just a little bit uncomfortable, right? But we are also going to look at and see how to develop a growth mindset by embracing the uncomfortable and using creativity to stimulate participation. So I'm really excited about these 3 goals and objectives today. You're going to find some strategies that might be a little outside of the box, but we're really excited to bring them to you today. And you're going to get so much out of what Dr. Jen Santos has done with her students. I can't wait. When we're finished, don't forget the evaluation. That is how you're going to earn your professional development certificate. Today's lesson is called Meet Them Where They Are. And then we'll have a closing prayer with Sheila Jones. So stick around for everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun, game on. Let's get this thing started. I'm going to launch a poll here in Zoom. I'm hoping that you all can see the poll as I've just launched it. It's a Zoom poll. Let me know in the chat if you can see the poll, if you don't mind, just so that I make sure that my technology is rolling. Yes, Sheila, thank you so much for being that. All right, thank you, Ruby. And Josiane, thank you. All right, looks like you can see it, so that means that's great. Go ahead and answer those questions if you don't mind. Can you answer the poll? Let's see if that's happening here. We've got, okay, all right, we've got a couple people have voted here. I'm seeing some answers. Okay, very nice. So here's the questions out loud, as I've seen a few of you started to answer the questions. Which of the following makes you feel most uncomfortable in your professional life? Interesting. Good thing I didn't ask in your personal life, right? Just kidding. All right, so number 2, what technology tool has brought you the most discomfort during your time of remote teaching? And number 3, the thought of teaching remotely into next year makes me feel ... Interesting. Okay. Just kind of giving you guys some think time here. Well, think time. I'm seeing this poll increase. So we've got 17 out of 34 of you voting. It looks like in number 1, that uncertainty is a big winner right now. Kind of not feeling competent is kind of coming up for second place there. We have number 2, digital organization is pretty high on our list. That's tough, right? Your students distributing, collecting work. Marnie was telling me something very interesting about a colleague last night, telling her about, what was it, Marnie? How many pieces of homework were they grading?
Just because of with the distance learning, the schools kind of relaxed parameters about work having to be turned in on time. And the night before grades were due, she had students turning in like 19 assignments all at once, dumping them in their Google Classroom. And then when she was responding that she couldn't physically do it because so many students dumped at once, parents, she told the student told the parents that the teacher wasn't grading. It went to the principal. So some blowing up going on right now.
A whole new world here. And I think that's maybe what happens when you tell the students there's really not a lot of accountability until that very last day, right? Because we're human. We're all going to procrastinate in some way, shape, or form. I'll tell you what, Tina made a really good point in the chat there. She misses the connection. I'm going to end this poll just I think we've had a time to kind of look at it. And I just wanted you to see that by far, uncertainty or a lack of plan really won out in number 1. Number 2, digital organization. That tool has brought you the most discomfort. And number 3, the thought of teaching remotely into next year makes me feel excited for new opportunities. Well, we are singing to the choir. Woohoo!
Yeah, we got the right audience here then.
We have the right audience. Well, good. So if you're feeling adventurous, I have a feeling that if we have so many excited people about this, I have a feeling we've seen a few people jumped right over here into this area. I'm sharing the results of that Zoom poll. I'm going to move that aside here. Maybe some of you have jumped into this little outside the box uncomfort land called Discord. If you have chosen to accept the invite, fantastic. I just don't want you to feel like this is something that we are requiring per se. This is a strange kind of a tool, but absolutely a meet them where they are. And Dr. Santos is going to talk a little bit more about it as we get into her content. But this is what you might have seen as you clicked on the link, accepting the invite. But once you accept the invite, you have to do a few things, right, Carolyn? There was a few registration options. So Carolyn just jumped into Discord a couple of days ago, and she had experienced that.
I want to bring up one thing about the registration, because Carolyn had said she had to put her birth date in, and people might be concerned about that. Why do sites like this ask for a birth date?
Did you say what? I'm sorry, did you have a question? Go ahead, Dr. Santos.
It was a loaded question. Why do sites ask for it? Anybody?
Most of the time they want to know that you're over a certain, like over 13 years old or something.
So
I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily like always putting in my real birth date because I don't like my personal information out there. So I have a set fake birth date that I use for everything. Just saying. For accounts like this, yeah.
I like it.
I was just going to share that in addition to your birthday, they are going to ask you to create an account or profile. So they'll ask for your email address, and then they will also ask you to create a password and a username, and then they'll ask you what you'd like to be called.
So let's not worry too much about all of that. But I will say that if you are adventurous and you want to jump in, go ahead and jump in. But we're going to do kind of a show and tell with Discord. And the reason being is, truth be told, I have spent so much time in Discord this week. Why? Because my 16-year-old son has used Discord for quite some time. And Carolyn, yours too, right? Your son uses it as well?
My son is 12, yes, and he is a little expert, so.
And there it is. So Carolyn and I, getting into this tool, we're like, wait a minute, we as parents need to know what's happening here. And then the more you talk to Dr. Santos about how she used it in a class to absolutely meet her students where they are, phenomenal. So you should be seeing my screen at this point. And if you are with me, then great. If you're not, no worries. I am here at, I call it the home space, but I like Dr. Santos. She says this is the lobby. And what's really neat about the lobby, whoops, I'm not actually in the lobby. Let me click on the lobby. There you go. Now you see my lobby. How about that? So there's the lobby, and they're called servers. So ultimately, I love it. She's giving me the thumbs up because I'm still learning, people. This is what's happening here. I've spent so much good time with my son this week, and he's such a great teacher. Okay, he needs a little help in that area. But anyway, it's been a really nice bonding moment, mother-son. So it says, welcome to your server. So I like how she says, this is the lobby. I called it the home space, but it's the lobby. And what's neat is that if you are not a part of this online community, you can't get past the lobby. But you can get into the lobby and say, hey man, what's happening? You wanna hang out for a little bit? And so the hangout part is the question, right? Do you want to hang out with your students in this way? Maybe you do and maybe you don't. But Jorp there, that's my son, so in case you're wondering who that is. But you'll notice all these other names. There's Marnie, she's here. And I've posted in our lobby a little information. Hey, why is my kid using Discord? This is great information because I didn't know really all about Discord until I really had to drill deep and teach it, right? So why are they using Discord? What's neat is that they have this good digital parenting piece out on Discord in a parent community kind of a guide for parents. I really liked it. So Carolyn, I don't know if you know about this, but I was really excited to see that. It looks here like I'm getting new messages. Go ahead, Carolyn.
I was going to say, I didn't know about it until you shared, and that is definitely something I'm going to take a look at.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's very cool. So I see Dan Utek is in here. There you go. I knew I'd have a couple of techies in here saying, yeah, I'm in, I'm ready. So Dan, I don't know if you're a Discord user, which you may be because UW Badger, I'm thinking that you might actually hang out with your students in game every once in a while. Dan, we might come back to you for some Q&A. But what's cool about Discord, over here, these are the servers. We're not going to talk too much about them. I'm going to show you one in just a second. But this is my text chat, this is my lobby here. And then I can talk to people. And once I click on that button that says let's talk, I'm voice connected. You can see I'm muted. Oh, look, Carolyn wants to talk too. Isn't that cool? And then if anybody in my server jumps in, like Dr. Santos, I can talk to anybody in there. Look, and Marnie's there too. So here I am. I'm the teacher talking to all my students at once. So for example, if I want to, I can mute them if I have administrative privileges. I can also say, okay, we're done talking. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to disconnect. So that's kind of an exciting piece. They can disconnect or they can stick around. I can also add some rules, and here's my rules, right? Have fun is my #1 rule. That kind of tells people this is what this group is all about. And then at the very end here, I have questions. So if you click on the questions hashtag here, feel free to answer my questions. So Mr. Utek, go right ahead. I see that you're in there. Jump right down into the questions and answer my questions if you're interested. Those were the questions that I asked were, how do you feel about using different technologies to communicate with your students, and what kinds of technologies do your students most enjoy using, either with or without you? And I'm going to tell you that Discord is one of them. Carol, talk to me.
There are a couple of questions in the chat. One about they're getting a virus warning when they click on the link. Wasn't sure how to answer that. And then Manny was asking about some comparisons. So just take a look at that if you get a chance.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Go ahead, Marnie.
The Slack or Teams, they're asking about Slack or Teams, like what's the comparison?
How does Discord compare to Slack, Microsoft Teams, and other similar? Great question, Manny. So it really is a platform, and the virus piece is interesting because it's a gamer platform. Now, my son wouldn't want me to say that because he says, no, Mom, it's just an online community platform. But I'm going to tell you, if they're, see right here, this looks like a joystick, right? So, I mean, if the joystick is kind of in their purview, I'm pretty sure we're catering to a particular audience. So if that gives you any indication, Manny, for educators, stick with Teams, stick with Slack. Slack is a great channel resource as well. In fact, we have a tip of the day on Slack. Maybe Amanda can dish that out, and because one of my students did a tip of the day on Slack. So just another communication channel, but I do think it's kind of catered towards students in the gaming world. Totally up to you to use it or not. Great questions. It looks like Dan is answering. I created a teacher Instagram at Mr. Utek 91 to reach out to my students. So Dan, bravo to you. Kudos to meet them where they are. Very interesting. So he also says, I sent them some pictures from our year together yesterday to give them some smiles and memories of school. Talk about meeting your students where you are. Thank you, Mr. Utek, for playing our game. We also have Leon 3AZ. I bet that's Manny Leon. I'm thinking you might be a closet gamer too, Manny. I don't know. Or you're just communicating with me because you like me. Thank you. Tech is great, but I worry about too much different tech thrown at students who are trying to navigate the different technologies, especially difficult for low-income students. Manny, if that's you, a huge thumbs up, absolutely. And I don't think that Discord is for everyone, which is why I said just show and tell today. Marnie, go ahead.
Dr. Santos has kind of addressed that too. When you said for low income students, she's gonna, this tool comes up very specifically in her discussion. So hang tight for that one.
Looking forward to it. And she also says here, my students love using Kahoot with me. And during the transition, a few of my students actually made Kahoots to play with their families. So isn't that interesting? We're using Discord to talk about Kahoot and also to bring up Teams and other types of communication devices. So I am excited to move on. Thank you for playing in my uncomfort zone. I appreciate that. And I'm going to move back over to our slideshow. But if you want to keep talking to me in my Discord server, rock yourself out. I will go back and I will answer questions. So that was a little look at Discord and why my son is so excited about it. And quite frankly, Marnie, I was saying this earlier, and Dr. Santos, you really got me into Discord, so I appreciate that. But I have to say that the best part of Discord for me was I have been spending more time with my son than I ever thought I would this week, because he wanted to teach me about it. So whether or not I'm dangerous, that's a whole nother topic. But I think the beauty there was to get that interaction with my gamer boy who just wants to chill out on the game. So bravo, go mom. Dr. Santos, you had no idea what you were doing, huh? So it's time to take away. What did you take away from our discussion? I think Manny put something very interesting about equity. I saw Discord. We looked at the Zoom poll. We could look at Discord as a tech tool, but even beyond that, pedagogically, what did you take away from our from Discord there, from our tech tool today? Go ahead and pop that in the chat. Feel free to do that. Also, if you click this, there's a tool here that allows you to make a copy of a document and then use that in your classroom. So that's what the takeaway is all about. So thank you for that. I'm going to kind of move on so that we can get Dr. Santos's content in here. We are all about relationships, relevance, and rigor. Relationships really being that forefront to create equity and space. And I think the art of listening is very, very key to this. And I want you to really hear how Dr. Santos listens to her students and then creates outcomes. So I'm going to move right into your place here, Dr. Santos. Please educate us, tell us about your stories, and I thank you for the chat. I love the takeaways that I'm seeing right here. If students are gamers, they're familiar, it's their comfort zone, so why not join them? Love it. Discord and other mediums are great ways to meet kids where they are. All right, thanks you guys. Thanks for playing. Thanks for being a little uncomfortable. Dr. Santos, how do you help your students feel uncomfortable but not agitated? Go ahead.
Well, I guess I'll just start by saying the teaching that I've been doing in the last couple of years with GCU's CHAS, College of Humanities of, wow, I said that wrong, College of Humanities and Social Sciences, there we go, has primarily been with developmental learners. So we have a 2-semester composition sequence, English 105 and 106, and I teach that, but we also have a class that comes before that. And typically students are placed into that class either because they don't take the placement test or their score on this test, primarily related to grammar, is a little bit lower. I'm actually of the opinion that everyone should take all 3 semesters instead of just the 2-semester sequence, but I'm like a little bit different than everybody else in that. So when we went into transition this past semester with COVID-19, I was working primarily with developmental learners, and they had been asking all week, like up until the announcement, like, Dr. Santos, do you think this is going to happen? Are we going to go online? I don't want to go online. I don't think I learn well online. And then I think it was Thursday before spring break. So about 2 days, day and a half before spring break started, we got the word that things were transitioning online. So I walked into my classroom and I just said, okay, everyone, it's happening. How is this going to work best for you? So it became a conversation. And one of the very first things they all said to me was, here's what I don't want. So there was a laundry list of things they didn't want to do. Like, okay, well, now let's see if we can talk about what we can do. What do you want? And they said, well, I'm still really stuck on like the things I'm concerned about. If I go home, I'm not going to have strong Wi-Fi. Speaking to the equity issue in low-income students. I'm going to be taking care of my little brothers and sisters, my grandmother. I'm going to have to work a lot. So there were all those concerns with like, but I want the classroom experience. I want to interact. I don't think I can do my classes without interacting. Mm-hmm. And so it was actually a group of students in one of my classes who said, have you ever heard of Discord? And I said, yeah, I used to be a gamer. I used to use it all the time. And they said, what if
and then they said, that? How cool is that? You used to be a gamer, right?
Yeah,
that
we went off topic for a little bit. Yeah. Cool, but when we came back around, there was actually a small group, my peer mentors plus 1 student who said, we'd be willing to build a Discord server with you. And so we spent the weekend, right before spring break, weekend of spring break, with 3 students online in Discord building a server to meet my needs. So one student took point on that. We can lock down privacy in Discord if you learn more of the details, which I did not know. He built it, we did some tests with the different roles you can assign, and then he turned it over to me.
Huh.
So it took a little bit of trust between me and the students myself, back and forth. But I
Okay,
think
so
it
wait a
worked
minute.
really nicely. And one of the things that I loved about it is you don't have to have high video capacity. It's an audio platform primarily.
Oh,
So my
cool. Okay.
students who are like, I'm worried because I'm going to be sharing a room with lots of people, or I'm going to be caring for folks, they can be in Discord without showing like all their family members. They can be there and not have like the screaming child, perhaps the undocumented family members being on camera.
Mm. So Dr. Santos, I see something in the chat that says, I love how you engage your students in building the server. Was that at all risk-taking for you? Like, was that outside of your comfort zone, or did you feel very comfortable saying, yeah, no, help me build this? And if it was, how might you talk to a teacher that might be a little skeptical about technology and having that trust relationship?
It was a little bit outside my comfort zone, but with this particular group, it wasn't too much. Most of them were peer mentors. The one who wasn't a peer mentor actually was just finishing up a class and was already on the schedule. He had signed up, he wanted to become a peer mentor. I'd also had him in, I think, 3 classes. So I had a relationship with these people already.
Oh,
That's
there's
cool.
the key word. I see Carolyn pipe up too. Relationships.
So if I could ask you a question, Dr. Santos. So as I'm sitting here listening, I have primarily an elementary background, and I'm thinking, how would Discord work with younger children? Would a teacher be able to figure this out? What do you think? What are your recommendations there?
Honestly, I'm not sure I would use this with the littles. Like with younger children, I think the learning curve on this can be kind of steep. I mean, then again, children surprise us, so. But I know when Corey and Marnie had first invited me to come to this webinar, I said, I don't know, for your audience, is this going to be useful?
And what was so interesting, just so you all know, we saw Dr. Santos, we saw an article in GCU Today that basically was like, this teacher is using an interesting platform to really work with her students. And we just thought, wow, here is a teacher that is willing to go outside of her comfort zone and meet students where they are. So it just intrigued us from the very beginning. And not just Discord, and Carolyn, and definitely finish answering that question and continue the conversation. But I do want to also point out that she is just a master at relationship building. So go ahead, Carolyn, did you have something else?
No, I was just gonna say, Dr. Santos, so really what I get out of that, and I hope all of our viewers today get out of that, is that we just want to find something, I guess you would say, that relates to them, and we're able to meet them where they are, regardless if it's a second grader or a college student.
Yes, it doesn't have to be Discord. It just needs to be something that meets them where they're at. Something where they're going to feel a little bit comfortable. We might feel a little uncomfortable. I know I felt uncomfortable not seeing my students when we held our Discord classes. Like, I can't see their facial expressions anymore. That was really weird for me. But I also had a student who had been kind of variably coming to class, like for the first 10 weeks. And once we were in Discord, she never missed a day.
Wow.
Which
I mean, that's powerful right there. That's powerful. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate you guys piping up. And I would like to say this right out loud. This conversation is it's conversational. Okay, that's really poignant. But my point is, please enter in the chat, ask questions of Dr. Santos. We will moderate it, or unmute yourself and ask a question. When we see your photo come up, we'll be able to, or when we see your unmute sign, we can see that you have a question. Today's lesson is about the conversation. Obviously, there's a lot more that you've done, Dr. Santos. So tell us a little bit about how you build relationships.
So I feel like for me as a teacher, I started when I was fairly young at the college level. And as time has passed, I started to realize I don't understand. Like, I understood where they were at when I started teaching. And as I get older, I'm like, ooh, I don't think I do. And some of that just happened with slang. So I listened to what they were saying. One day a kid said, I think it was the first day of class, I think this class is going to be lit. And I said, what was that again? And he repeated it. And I was like, okay. And I went back and I was like, I don't know what that meant. So we started doing slang day. So on a day that students have done particularly well on an activity, I'll do a different kind of exit ticket with them. And I'll ask them, write down one piece of slang that you think I should know and a definition. And the first time I did it, it was kind of out of desperation, like I need to learn what's going on. But what I discovered was that the students loved it. They loved teaching me something, and it became something where the next class period, when I walked in the room before class, it wasn't like people on their phones texting. It was, Dr. Santos, what words did you learn?
Ah, right.
And we followed up with it for weeks every so often. You know, before class, that would be our chit chat. I would ask them, am I using this right in a sentence? And then once in a while, I would try to throw it out in the middle of class, like throw out one of the pieces of slang that they taught me. And
I can only imagine what happened then, right? They were like, what did she just say?
sometimes there's applause, sometimes there's eye rolling because it doesn't always translate well when your teacher tries to use slang. But either way, they were engaged, they were still there, they were present. And I'm kind of happy with that. And when I had, I want to make sure that I'm also really clear here. When I'm working with developmental students, I also have a lot of ELL, so English language learners, who might not know slang. And so for those students, I'll say, it's fine if you don't know slang, teach me something in your language.
Oh, that's cool too.
And what I find fascinating is they then want to meet me where I'm at.
Ooh.
So I've told them that I'm working on learning Spanish. So they'll say, well, what do you know already in Spanish? What would you like to learn? So they take it very seriously. And sometimes students who normally would be like, poof, out the door as fast as possible, are sitting and being very thoughtful and meticulous about it. So
That's awesome. So what is this next, what do you wish you had asked? Can you explain that
yeah,
as far
so
as like meeting your students?
Sometimes I'll get a class that's just really quiet and, you know, we'll go through a day, we'll have done the activities and, you know, I'm sure there's still questions in the room. Like they just haven't asked them yet. So I'll have them do an exit ticket. What do you wish you had asked? And then I'll read those. And the next class period will start either with a Kahoot. So we'll do a Kahoot game with them and I'll show them these were your questions. Look how many of you had the same question. If we all share this question, let's be brave and try to ask these next time. And they love that I followed up with them. The second thing I might do, depending on time or the subject matter, is make them an FAQ page and bring them an FAQ. Here are the questions you guys asked. Here are the answers.
Okay, that's really cool because so many kids need to know what an FAQ page is, right? Because instead of asking the question, they could go to the FAQ page.
Yep.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's a great idea. So how about asking for a friend?
So asking for a friend is a similar kind of technique. When I discovered, you know, what do you wish you had asked was actually really useful for me, and that students had a lot of the same questions in my shyer, quieter classes, at least. And we're just afraid to ask. It was like, okay, so we're going to mandate this now. Sometimes at the start of class, sometimes in the middle of class, we're going to stop what we're doing. Everybody write down 1 or 2 questions that you think someone else in the class has. So if you don't have any questions, that's fine, but write down a question that you think somebody else in the class would have. So they have to write those down, then they get into a group, they share their questions, they decide on the best ones, and then we go around the room and we share those questions.
That is so much fun.
It's great.
Oh, I think my students would love that. And okay, so, and I think that you might have an even example of this a little later, yeah?
I do, yeah. So
okay. Okay,
that was one of those things where I was really outside my comfort zone because I spent one semester with one particular class. Just, I felt like I was doing asking for a friend so much that I was annoying them and really driving them crazy. But I felt like it was helping, so I felt like I had to annoy them. And then at the end of the semester, I had them make optional alternative assessment videos. What was one of the most meaningful things you learned from this class in video form? And one group actually made a video about asking for a friend.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So let's watch that in just a minute, but hang on. Talk to us about memes and GIFs and I mean, you do so much and I just want to make sure to get it all in.
So GIFs is just, it's something I don't do in like regular class time, or at least I haven't yet. But when we were in Discord this semester, we had some rules, like just really basic rules, like you have to say goodbye so we know you're not like having technical problems. You know, if you need to leave early, it's okay, just tell us, say goodbye. And one of my classes realized you can put a GIF in Discord. And so they
Aha.
started using GIFs as their goodbyes. And so we'd all say goodbye and then no one would leave. Everyone would wait to see what everyone else was posting and then they'd
I love
continue
it.
their conversations, which was really nice community building.
So in Discord, and you guys can see, here you could actually put a GIF in just by clicking here where it says GIF. And, we could definitely have something. Let me try to do something kind of fun. How about, okay, this isn't too bad, right? So if we just put the shrug in there and then we put the GIF in here, and maybe it's not coming in too fast, but that's one idea, is to use Discord. You could also use GIF Maker. So Marty's put in Giphy, which is a lot of fun, something that we've used before many times in our presentations, but also in class. But that's a great way to do it. And then you also, I noticed here in your slideshow, this is a meme that Dr. Santos had. So if you want to talk to us about that meme, and before you jump into it, there's Meme Generator. So that's a great tool, and all these tools are going to be available for you in our YouTube show notes. So definitely you've got GIF makers, meme generators, but tell us a little bit about that meme that you have there.
So at least at GCU, our composition classes require them to use APA format and not MLA format. And what most students have learned throughout high school is MLA format. So they get to our comp classes and they're like, oh my gosh, like APA, it's so different, oh my gosh. And one of the things that we learned in English 106 was that if you mention an author's last name when you're introducing a quote or a paraphrase, you have to put the date right after it, and that's not an MLA thing.
Right.
And so in class, I was very dramatic about it, like they're handcuffed together. Wherever the author goes, the date has to follow. And I would drag a chair around the room, like, I'm the author, the chair's the date. When I go here, it goes there.
Okay, that is fantastic. Can you imagine that's TPR as well. That's that total physical response. So your ELL students are really they're really gonna understand when they've got a handcuff or a chair that's dragging around the room, what it means that you have to have the date and the author right there together.
My students told me they actually taught their friends in other classes how to do this with a chair as well. So I guess it works.
I think that is, yeah, flattery. What do they say? Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yeah.
There it is.
I thought it was adorable. But at the end of this particular semester, I offered them the chance to make memes about, in this class, it was, I asked them for specific things I wanted memes for that I could use next semester. So it was a little bit self-serving, and I told them that. Again, we have that trust we had built up, so it was all right. And this young woman made a meme about the author and the date in APA, and hers is a lot cuter than my handcuff idea. This is just the author's last name and year are like best friends holding hands, where one goes, the other follows.
That is so
So
awesome.
it's a student-made meme. It's adorable. I will definitely use that next year. She did a great job with this. But you can use memes like in the middle of a unit, end of a unit. It's a way to help kind of reinforce the learning and let them have some experiential fun with the material.
Everything you say, it's just meeting your students exactly where they are, really creating that relationship, and not just creating it, but also spotlighting them, like really saying what you say matters, and I'm going to use it in my classroom, and that's how you know that it matters. So really fabulous. This whole asking for a friend, you had said you were getting tired of it, but I find this video very, very cool. I'll go ahead and play it, and then if you would talk about it afterwards. So hopefully y'all can hear. Let me make sure that my sound. Yep, it says sharing computer sound. So hopefully you can hear this. Here we go.
Class, that is how we make sure we have no breaks in our causal chain. Do you have any questions?
Oh my gosh, Dad, I have a question. I'm too embarrassed to ask.
Don't worry, we got your back.
friend.
I'm still kind of blown away that they chose that as a thing that was valuable. I'm so proud of these kids. I guess I'll go back, Corey, to something you said earlier about meeting them where they are and, like, you know, telling them that this might be used in a future class. We also make sure that we do these things and we share them. So when they make memes, they don't just give me memes. When we
Right.
were online, all the memes went into Discord. When we're in class, they send me memes and I put them into a slideshow and we all look at the memes together, and they get to come up to the front of the class and, like, talk about their memes if they want to. They can ask questions and applaud for each other's memes. There's all kinds of games, but it becomes something that, again, is part of a group.
So in Discord, I just jumped over to Discord to see, you know, yes, you can add a GIF here, but you can also, can you add memes in Discord? Is that something that, or is it more like a GIF is more fun?
You can do either one. If you make a meme, you can just copy and paste it in.
Okay, so that would be fun too. So here it's like, yeah, now everybody's watching my dog, right? And that's kind of fun. But it's like you said, it keeps them in class. So it's not about the GIF as much as it's about the camaraderie. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it's about building the community while also building that community on topic, hopefully.
Okay.
Right, so it's not like an icebreaker at the beginning of the semester. It's continuing to, like, build on those icebreakers and that community building while furthering, hopefully, your course goals.
Awesome. Just absolutely awesome. Marnie, go ahead.
And I just wanted to add on what you were just saying, building that community, and with the meeting them what they are, learning what is engaging to them, as opposed to trying to force them to, you know, try to connect with what we think is engaging as, you know, people who are 1 or 2 generations older than them. We are competing with a different world than the kind we grew up in. So if we don't start to, you know, find out what they're interested in and communicate in the ways that they communicate, we're not going to compete as educators.
I actually, yeah, I would say I let my students, I told them the kinds of things, like, I had in mind, and then I let them throw out ideas. So their choices this semester was either memes or TikToks. So I actually got a couple of TikToks too.
Wow. And if you don't know what TikTok is, we'll have a tip of the day on TikTok, just more of an informational tip of the day on TikTok coming soon. But I wanted you to know that TikTok, you might hate it, you might not know what it is, but boy, do our students love it. Marty, you're about to say something.
Don't go there unless you want to waste an hour or 4 of your life. I get sucked into it and I can't get out. So
I know, right? It's crazy addictive. But again, another place where we can, you know, really see what it is our students are up to. Carolyn, what are your thoughts on TikTok?
I just wanted to chime in. We had a question in the chat asking what is the youngest optimal age to use, you know, things like this, maybe memes or GIFs or TikTok. And I think it's sort of crazy to say, but as long as you have parameters, I really think that these can be used as low as maybe 2nd, 3rd grade. I have a daughter who is in 4th grade, or just finished 4th grade, but she's been doing this stuff forever. She has older brothers and sisters. And once again, it's just really monitoring and make sure everything's appropriate. But when you have toddlers who can use your cell phone better than you can, I think this is something that they could do. And the one thing too, Dr. Santos, I wanted to say is it's so amazing. I watch all these ideas and I just think so many of your students probably don't even realize how much learning they're doing because you have made this into just something so amazing. So I'm so impressed. I love it.
Thank you, Carolyn. And I just brought up this SpongeBob photo just so you can see that, yeah, I think that my child, when, you know, she was in elementary school when she loved SpongeBob. So yes, memes are definitely, they can go any age level. I think GIFs the same way. Carol, what have you got for us?
So Maxie clarified her question. She was asking specifically about Discord and what is the lowest age range that you feel could be useful for Discord.
Okay, so we've gone back and forth on this. Dr. Santos has her ideas. Maybe not, is what I heard earlier. Maybe not for the younger crowd because of the learning curve. But I heard you say children surprise us with how much they can learn. So
yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
Us. Personally, I probably wouldn't go below high school level with Discord, but I could be very, very wrong. And I also don't know that I have the expertise to answer this particular question.
I want to respond to that too, and I just want to remind everybody here that this webinar is not, although we dove into Discord, it's really not about this tool Discord. It's about the fact this is a tool that students are already using, and most of you probably didn't even know it existed. And so it's just starting to get comfortable with things you don't know anything about. Yeah, this is definitely not a tool for younger children. So it's more about, what are our kids doing? How can we think of different ways to communicate with them?
If I could just chime in there a little bit. So in doing a lot of coaching with elementary school teachers, one little bit of advice that I like to give them, they might find that they do have third graders who are using Discourse because their older brothers use it and so on and so forth. And one of the things that I like to share with them is, exposing your students to something doesn't mean that they have to do it themselves, right? But maybe one lesson a week, you yourself as the teacher are projecting Discord, and you are just sort of navigating around it, using it as a way to project questions or doing whatever. It's still exposing them to it so that maybe they're ready to use it in high school independently. So that's just another option. If you're like, wow, this is great and I want to relate to them, you could do it that way.
That's a great thought, Carolyn. Thank you for adding that, because I absolutely know. I know Maxie teaches 5th grade, and I know 5th graders that use Discord. Now, they may not be telling their parents how much they use Discord, and maybe that's their thing. They want to keep that away. But I think the more that you expose your kids to knowing that you know about it, the stronger that might be. And I just want to, we're going to move on just a little bit, because more conversation. I really want this conversation to keep going. But how do we turn what feels uncomfortable into learning opportunities for ourselves and our students? And I think we're going to end just this content piece looking at musical instrument concept, right? The idea that, are you ever too old to learn a musical instrument, or maybe learn a new language? It's a challenge. There's no question, right? If I wanted to pick up the piano, my son plays amazing piano, and I know I can't play like him. But if I tinkle around a little bit, and he says, wow, you're interested. And really, it's just about that. It's about the relationship. So here's kind of an older person and a younger person creating music together. And in that music, or in that online community, that's where the relationship building happens. I might say it that way. Dr. Santos, what do you have to say about kind of just closing up sort of how you feel about building that community?
I think if we don't step outside our own comfort zones, then we really risk missing the learning opportunities. So I'm not sure that I have anything like really deep or profound to add here, other than like it was hard for me to step outside like with the student-led Discord project. It was really terrifying on that first day to like try to troubleshoot all the students who hadn't used it. But it turns out we were able to get it done. Like, it was fine. And it's just like when my technology breaks in the classroom, I'm like, oh gosh, what do I do? When I was younger, I might have panicked. Now it's, okay, guys, this is a learning opportunity. Like, I don't know how to fix this. Does anyone in here know how to address this? As a team, if they don't, okay. So we get a chance for our students to see that our teachers are human too. They're still learning, and that idea of being uncomfortable actually is valuable. And when we're uncomfortable, it's actually really valuable for our learners. Beautiful. To see that how you handle uncomfort is really the issue.
Absolutely beautiful. That was perfect closure. So we're going to close content there for just a moment, because we do want to reopen the question and answer slot as we move forward, but we've got a little bit of business to do. I thank you all. I hope that you were able to see that we use some courageous teaching methods that make learning relevant, to develop that growth mindset by embracing the uncomfortable and using creativity to stimulate participation today. Don't forget to evaluate the webinar to earn your PD certificate. We're moving into our closing prayer now, and then we'll open it back up to Q&A in just a moment. But don't forget, we are here every week to empower, educate, and inspire you, our community, so that you take action to fulfill your purpose and to serve others. Thank you so much for coming back, and also thank you for coming to our if you're new here, thanks for being here. And we've got a few things coming up next week. Join us for blended learning, and Marnie has a timeout there because I'm forgetting about the Toolmaster, aren't I?
Yep. So I just want to give the Toolmaster a heads up. This will give you a moment to collect whatever tools you took note of and put those in the chat box as Corey tells us about what our upcoming webinars are. Back at you.
Thank you, Marnie. See, she's awesome. You always have to have somebody to keep you on track, and that's what I love. I love about having my colleagues here so close to me. So yes, blended learning. Don't forget to come and check that out. You and I both know. In fact, Arturo, who's on today, and Arturo, don't leave, because I'm going to ask you to share your story in a minute here. But he had mentioned that just yesterday at Central High School, they told students, you get choices. You're going to come in person in the morning, in person in the afternoon. You're going to be totally online, or it's going to be blended. So people, embrace it. We're in blended learning. It's happening. So come on back next week and learn a little bit more about blended learning with us. Also, June 4th, and Manny and Bill, if you're still on, please pop that information into our chat. MESA will be hosting a webinar, MESA, Math, Engineering, Science, Achievement. If you are wanting to bring STEM and equity to your school, do not miss this webinar. It's June 4th. They will have a time here for you in just a moment. Pop that in the chat. And then also June 10th will be summer STEM activities. So don't forget to join us for those weekly Wednesday webinars. You'll notice that from June to July, we go from weekly to monthly. We wanted to give you a little break during the summer to spend some time with your own children and maybe not be on technology. So just remember that June 10th is our last webinar in June, and then we'll start up again in July for project-based learning. So don't forget, that's what we're going to do in July. Have I given our Toolmaster enough time?
Oh yeah, it's already in there. So he already got the list, and it looks like he got everything. So it was a little different set of tools this week than we normally give out. So I really like it. So thank you very much, Manny. They've also stuck in the link and the title for that June 4th one. So if you just want to,
I'm going to click on it right here just so you can see what it looks like. Building a STEM identity through equity, early college access, and the T in technology webinar. So there's the so that's your link there. So please fill that out and do join us for that webinar. It's going to be great. And if you know of any schools that are looking to bring equity in STEM and technology to their district, please send that link along. That would be really helpful so that we can get the kids who need the help that they need. So with that said,
I want to just add on to that. It's really important, if you are familiar with MESA, GCU, and our team is the Central Region. We are the Central Region support team here. So Manny and Bill, they manage Southern Arizona, and we are your connection here in Central Arizona. So if you want more information about MESA, reach out to us and we'll be happy to fill you in. Thanks.
Absolutely. So definitely Central in the Phoenix area. Appreciate that, Marnie. So with that said, hopefully you've had some tools. Manny put those in the toolbox. We have our takeaways, and we're going to move on into our team prayer. Remember, if you are leaving us now, that's kind of the content piece of our webinar. Make sure that you're filling out the evaluation. It's called Meet Them Where They Are. And with that said, I'm going to slow down just a tad bit, because you know it's hard for me to slow down any more than that. And I'm going to ask Sheila to join us, please, in prayer. Sheila, come on over.
Thank you for having me. I can't get my video to start up for some reason. I don't know why. It's giving me an error.
Oh, that's okay. We're uncomfortable. We like being uncomfortable. We can hear you though, and that's a beautiful thing.
It might be better. You don't have to. Everyone kind of closes their eyes to pray anyway, so it won't matter. The scripture I chose today was Romans 8, verses 38 and 39. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. And I just felt so much joy this week after I read that. Life feels pretty heavy right now for some of us, but please remember that our God doesn't just sit on a throne and watch our roller coaster life. Our God took on flesh and walked among us to feel all the emotions and realities of our humanity. He came and met us in the muck so that we can experience what it's like to be fully known, loved, and human. God is with us in our struggles, and He is our way maker through the pain. Our intuition is to try to control things when we know the Lord When we know the Lord, we are strong even in our weakness. So lean into him today. Let him carry your burdens and stop trying to steer the ship. Instead, soak in his peace and love. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today from all over the nation. You are such an incredible God to walk alongside us during our good days and through our struggles. Pour down your peace and cover us during this time of uncertainty. Thank you for the teachers and leaders and all their efforts to keep our children afloat and connected when life feels splintered. Lord, thank you for the leadership at GCU for inspiring and supporting us to pivot when things turned upside down. Thank you for keeping us all safe and for helping us to be kind to everyone we meet, even when they don't match our desires. What a true blessing it is to know you, Lord. Today, we lay down all our worries to you. You have the most perfect plans for us. Amen.
Amen. Wow, Sheila, that was powerful. And boy, I'm going to stop trying to steer this ship all the time and remember that there is a much greater presence out there. Thank you so much. Thank you for your prayer, your spiritual leadership in our department. Thank you for what you do for homeschool students. If you are a homeschool teacher or are interested in that area, please don't hesitate to shout out. I'll get you in touch with Sheila Jones. Thank you for your guidance and your spirit today, Sheila. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful prayer and devotion. Exactly what I needed to hear, and very, very apropos for being a little uncomfortable. So with that said, we've got just a few more minutes, kind of like one if you got to get out of here by 11 o'clock, but we'll stick around for another 5 minutes for Q&A.